All right, so let's be honest for a second. We hear financial terms thrown around all the time, right? On the news, on social media, even from our friends who suddenly sound like they work on Wall Street. Words like inflation, diversification, net worth, they're everywhere. But if you were to stop and really ask someone, hey, what does that actually mean for my bank account? You'd probably get a lot of blank stares or some super complicated answer that just leaves you more confused than before. It's almost like there's this secret language of money that everyone pretends to understand, but very few people actually do. It's designed to sound intimidating, but it really doesn't have to be. They are the fundamental building blocks of your personal financial life. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. First up, let's talk about the budget. Now, I know what you're thinking. The word budget sounds restrictive, like you're putting your finances on a diet. A budget isn't about restriction, it's about intention. It's a plan for your money. Think of it like a GPS for your finances. You wouldn't start a road trip without plugging the destination into your phone, right? You list all the money coming in, your paycheck, any side hustle income, you name it. Then you list all the money going out, rent or mortgage, groceries, utilities, car payments, subscriptions, and yes, even that daily iced coffee. The goal is to make sure that the money out column isn't bigger than the money in column. A budget tells your money where to go so you don't end up wondering where it all went. Start tracking your income and expenses for just 1 month. I promise you, the clarity you will gain is the single most powerful first step you can take on your financial journey. All right, next up is a big one, a 3-digit number, your credit score. You've definitely heard of this. It's that number that lenders, landlords, and even some employers look at to judge your financial responsibility. There are 5 main ingredients. Payment history, the biggest piece, about 35%. Do you pay your bills on time, every single time? Credit utilization, about 30%. That's how much of your available credit you're using. Example, $10,000 limit with $5,000 balance is 50% utilization. Length of credit history, about 15%. The longer, the better. Credit mix, about 10%. Lenders like to see different types of credit. Finally, new credit, about 10%. Applying for a lot of new accounts in a short time can ding your score. Your credit score is the key that unlocks better interest rates. Someone with a 780 score gets much lower rates than someone with a 620. Over a 30-year mortgage, that can save you tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Beyond loans, a good score helps you get the best apartments, avoid utility deposits, and lower insurance premiums. Pay every single bill on time. Keep your credit card balances low, ideally under 30%, even better under 10%. Don't open a bunch of new accounts at once. Check your credit report for errors every year. Let's move on to something directly tied to your credit score, interest rates. In the simplest terms, an interest rate is the cost of borrowing money. When you take out a loan, you're not just paying back the amount you borrowed. You're paying a fee for the privilege of using someone else's money. When it's working against you, it shows up as debt. Think credit card debt at 20% plus APR. That's an astronomically high price to borrow. If you have $5,000 at 20% and only pay minimums, it could take decades and cost thousands in interest. Same idea applies to car loans, mortgages, personal loans. Your credit score affects the rate you pay. Flip it. Make interest work for you. Put money in a high-yield savings account. Today, you can find 4%, 5% APY accounts. Your money grows without extra work. It helps outpace inflation. Key takeaway: be acutely aware of interest rates. When borrowing, aim for the lowest rate. Shop around and compare offers. Maintain a high credit score so lenders give you better rates. Minimize what you pay and maximize what you earn. Example: a $300,000 mortgage at 7% is about $1,996 a month. At 5.5%, it's $1,703, nearly $300 saved each month, about $105,000 over 30 years. Master this and you build wealth. Now that we understand interest, let's talk about its super-powered cousin, compound interest. Albert Einstein supposedly called it the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it, earns it. He who doesn't, pays it. Compound interest is simply earning interest on your interest. In year 1, you earn interest on your principal. In year 2, you earn interest on principal plus year 1 interest. Your money starts to build on itself, creating a snowball effect. The longer you let it roll, the bigger and faster it grows. Imagine you invest $1,000 at 10% annual return. Year 1, $1,100. Year 2, $1,210. Year 3, $1,331, and so on. Over 20 years, that $1,000 could become $6,700. Over 40 years, over $45,000. Someone who starts $200/month at 25 will have significantly more by 65 than someone who starts $400/month at 40. Time compounds. Start early. Let compounding be a force working for you, not against you as high-interest debt. Small, regular contributions beat late big ones because of compounding time. All right, let's talk about something that affects every single one of us every single day: inflation. What does it actually mean for your wallet? Inflation is the rate at which general prices rise and purchasing power falls. Remember grandparents saying a candy bar cost a nickel? That's inflation in action. The dollar buys less over time. Your dollar's purchasing power is shrinking. We measure inflation with the Consumer Price Index, tracking a basket of goods like food, housing, transport, clothing, and medical care. When the basket's average price goes up, that's inflation. If you hide $10,000 under a mattress, in 20 years you still have $10,000. But it buys much less. If inflation averages 3% a year, $10,000 becomes like $5,500 in buying power over 20 years. Invest to earn returns higher than inflation. If inflation is 3% and your investments earn 8%, you get a real return of 5%. You preserve and increase purchasing power. So don't let money sit still. Put it to work. Inflation is the invisible headwind you're always running against. Now let's talk about the ultimate measure of your financial health: your net worth. If your budget is your monthly GPS, your net worth statement is the satellite view of your entire financial world. It's simple. Assets minus liabilities equals net worth. Add up what you own: house, retirement accounts, savings, car. Then add up what you owe: mortgage, car loan, credit card debt. Example: assets $475,000, house $400K, retirement $50K, savings $10K, car $15K. Liabilities $315,000, mortgage, car loan, credit cards. Net worth $160,000. Don't get discouraged if your net worth is low or negative at first. It's common with student loans. The number itself is less important than the direction. Is it going up? Increase assets by saving and investing. Decrease liabilities by paying down debt. Calculate your net worth every year or 6 months to track progress. It's the ultimate scorecard of your financial life. We just mentioned assets and liabilities. Let's drill down on the difference. It's one of the most fundamental concepts in personal finance. An asset is anything you own with economic value that can put money in your pocket. Cash, stocks, bonds, rental real estate, a business. Income-generating or appreciating items are building blocks of wealth. A liability is something you owe, a promise to pay in the future. They take money out of your pocket. Common examples: mortgage, student loans, car loans, credit card debt. A house you live in is technically an asset, but from a cash flow view, it often acts like a liability due to mortgage, taxes, insurance, and maintenance. A rental property that produces positive cash flow is a true asset. Your car depreciates the moment you drive it off the lot and costs you in fuel, insurance, and repairs, functioning like a liability. The main goal? Acquire income-producing assets and minimize high-interest liabilities. Shift your mindset from wanting stuff to wanting assets. That's the secret to financial freedom. Let's talk about investing. One of the most important principles is diversification. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. By investing across many assets, you reduce the impact of any single failure on your whole portfolio. It's a strategy for managing risk. Diversify across asset classes: stocks, bonds, real estate, commodities. These classes behave differently. When stocks are down, bonds may be up, smoothing the ride. Within stocks, diversify by size: large cap, mid cap, small cap. Diversify by industry: tech, healthcare, finance, consumer goods. And diversify geographically: U.S. International Emerging Markets. For beginners, low-cost index funds or ETFs give instant diversification. For example, an S&P 500 fund gives slices of 500 companies in one purchase. You're diversified across hundreds of companies instantly. Diversification won't prevent all losses, but it builds a sturdy, all-weather portfolio. Not a fair-weather one. This next one is arguably just as important as a budget: the emergency fund. It's a stash of cash set aside in a separate, easily accessible account to cover urgent expenses. Life is unpredictable. Your car will break down, your water heater may leak, you might face a medical bill, or even lose a job. Without an emergency fund, people whip out credit cards, rack up high-interest debt, or sell long-term investments at a loss, or take high-interest loans. Rule of thumb: save 3-6 months of essential living expenses, housing, utilities, food, transport, minimum debt payments. Multiply your essentials by 3-6 to set the target. Keep it liquid and safe. A high-yield savings account separate from checking is ideal. It should be accessible without penalty and FDIC insured. After eliminating high-interest credit card debt, building an emergency fund should be your top priority. It provides incredible peace of mind and lets you invest with confidence. Think of it as your financial fire extinguisher. Hope you never need it, but be glad it's there. Last but certainly not least, let's talk about retirement accounts. I know retirement can feel a million years away, but time is your greatest asset. If your employer offers a 401k or 403b contribute, often it comes out pre-tax, and many employers match contributions. Employer match = free money. Contribute enough to get the full match. No workplace plan? Open an IRA, traditional or Roth. Traditional, tax deduction now, taxed on withdrawal. Roth, after-tax contributions, tax-free withdrawals and growth. Invest in low-cost index funds or target date funds. Set and forget options. Start now. Even $50 or $100 a month can grow into a massive sum over decades due to compounding. Pay your future self first. That future you will thank you. Starting early is the greatest gift to your financial future. And there you have it. 10 of the most important financial concepts, broken down as simply as possible. From daily budgets to long-term retirement, I hope this demystified these topics and empowered you. This knowledge isn't reserved for an exclusive club. It's for everyone. Keep learning, keep reading, and keep asking questions. If you found this helpful, gently tap that like button and hit subscribe so you don't miss future videos. What's a finance term that still confuses you? Drop it in the comments and I'll cover it next time. Remember, this isn't the finish line. It's the starting block. Financial freedom is a marathon, not a sprint. Build small, consistent habits. Schedule automatic transfers and review your plan regularly. The more you understand, the better decisions you'll make for yourself and your family. Use the tools. Save, invest, plan, and let compounding work for you. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.